NA's Last Chance Qualifier is the last opportunity for a team from NA to get into championships this year. In day one, there were some banger games, so let's go through a recap. The first matchup started off with 100 Thieves versus Gen.G, 100 Thieves being the first seed and Gen.G being the 8th seed. This matchup was huge for 100 Thieves, not only to keep their hopes up in the winner's bracket, but because they recently benched Steel, had Nitro go to the IGL position, so this matchup, it was basically like they needed to justify their decision. The two maps banned would be 100 Thieves banning Bind and Gen.G banning Ascent, and the picks would be 100 Thieves picking Breeze for map 1, Gen.G picking Split for map 2, and 100 Thieves picking Icebox. Breeze is particularly interesting because last time we saw Breeze from 100 Thieves, they played Nitro on a Jet operator, when he typically plays smokes for the squad. As we dive into agent picks for Breeze, most interesting thing is Nitro will be back on that Jet op, and Hiko goes to Sova with Boy actually taking up that Viper role. On the side of Gen.G, GMD picks up the Brimstone, a pick that is very disputed on this map. 100 Thieves start off so dominant on Breeze, getting to a 5-0 lead. They just use aggression extremely well and catch Gen.G off guard. However, after those first 5 rounds, Gen.G seem to wake up. They're no longer playing as far back on sites, and they're being a little bit more active on this map. The half ends up being a 7-5 with 100 Thieves leading. In the beginning part of the second half, there's a couple rounds traded back and forth from Gen.G and 100 Thieves. But after that, Gen.G start to systematically dismantle the A site. Nature uses the Brimstone and his 20-second smokes to provide so much pressure and get control of hallways pretty much every single round. While he does that, Kusta sets up his smokes to completely deny any sightlines on the A site. This makes it so that Nitro on this Jet op basically has no way to spot out these long-range angles while he's getting threatened from both A main and the hallway area. Using this strategy, Gen.G close out the map on 100 Thieves map pick at 13-10. Heading into Split, which is Gen.G's map pick, 100 Thieves go with the double duelist, double controller composition, something pretty standard that we see nowadays. What's interesting to note is that Nitro is back on this Jet on Split, kind of mirroring what Shazam does usually with Sentinels. Gen.G also go for the double duelist instead of the Raze and the Jet. They go for a Raze and a Reyna, and instead of the double controller, they go double Sentinel instead with the Cypher and the Sage. Even though this was Gen.G's map pick, 100 Thieves on this map just look so dominant, especially when they're starting off on the defensive side. Every lane just seemed to be on lock. Hiko on the Viper would be locking down the Garage B main area. Mid was held down well by Asuna on the Raze with the Raze and the Astra suck combos. And when it came to A main, Ethan had some insane counter flashes when Gen.G were pushing onto the site with his Skybirds. Because of all of this, 100 Thieves close out the first half at 10-2. In the second half, the double satchel play from both the Razes on both the teams were insane, and Gen.G does start to make a comeback, but in the end, they end up losing their map pick of Split 13-8 with this ending play.
Very, very tight corner, around, flying, comes the team, no way!
Going into map 3, it will be Icebox, which is 100 Thieves map pick and their bread and butter. For agent picks, it's pretty standard overall, except Nitro will be back on that Jet op, something he's done for all 3 maps this series, and Asuna will be on his signature Reyna. On the flip side, Gen.G go with a double controller comp with GMD on the Omen and Kusta on the Viper. 100 Thieves start off on the attack, and there's not really a lot to say about this map, honestly. 100 Thieves just looked way better. Their site takes were very clean. Their retakes were also extremely clean. I mean, 100 Thieves just looked dominant across the board, and it felt like Gen.G just weren't up to par. 100 Thieves end the half up 9-3 and then close out the map at 13-4 and advance further into winner's bracket. Gen.G end up losing 1-2 and they drop to the loser's bracket to fight through it. Now at this point in time, it is revealed by Hiko that they were actually playing on online servers the entire time for this LAN event. They didn't have dedicated servers, they were just playing on the North California servers that everyone plays on. Although this didn't seem to have the biggest impact in the 100 Thieves versus Gen.G game, it becomes very apparent in this next best of 3. For the next best of 3, it will be Xset versus Luminosity Gaming, which are the 4th and 5th seeds respectively. Going into map picks and bans, Xset ban Bind and LG ban Breeze, with our first map being Haven picked by Xset, second map Ascent picked by LG, and third map being Split picked by Xset. Going into Haven, the agent picks are basically standard for both teams. You have the Astra there to provide smokes, you have the Jet Opper, you have a double initiator, and the only really difference between these two teams is going to be in that Sentinel, with LG picking up the Cypher and with Xset going with the Killjoy. In the first game, Luminosity absolutely destroyed Xset. Luminosity started off on the defensive half and they just had complete control over the map. Tig on the Astra would push up to A short pretty much every single round, and it gave so much pressure to Xset, so much information to Luminosity as well. And then on the other side, on C long, there was just so much pressure with the Sky pushing up as well. It felt like Luminosity just had a complete read of Xset on the entirety of the map, and a Proto came up with some big clutches and sight holds. Luminosity end up going 10-2 at half, and then they close out the map at 13-2. Going into the second map, which will be Ascent, which is also Luminosity's map pick, the agent picks themselves, I mean, they're actually the same exact agent compositions that we saw in Haven from both sides. Going into the actual map, this was much more back and forth from both teams. Luminosity win out on the first pistol round, but Xset fire back in the second round with an insane thrifty. After that, Luminosity on this map continued to take away mid from Xset pretty much every single round, but the way Xset respond is to basically just kind of stack the sites, make sure that the sites themselves are death traps whenever that final push comes through. This is also where we see those internet issues come into place. In the 9th round, a Proto in a 1 versus 2 actually makes a good play, has the timing with 10 seconds left to clutch the round, but then he ends up DCing and the round is lost for Luminosity.
God, I'm holding my breath here.
However, in the end, Xset go up in the first half at an 8-4 scoreline. Going into the second half, Xset play way more towards the extremities in A main and B main and not very much pressure towards mid. Luminosity don't put much pressure towards mid either, they mostly just match the pressure wherever Xset was showing. Unfortunately for Luminosity, their sight holds were not nearly as good as Xset's when Xset was on the defense, so Luminosity lose out on their map pick 13-8. Into the third round, which will be Xset's map pick of Split. The agent picks themselves, they're pretty standard for both teams. They're going with the double controller with the Astra and the Viper. For the other picks, it'll be a Sentinel, an Initiator, and one Duelist. Pretty standard picks from both teams though. Going into this game 3, although LG win the first pistol, Xset fire back yet again by winning the second round. Even though they're on lesser guns and a thrifty, they run with that momentum for the first couple rounds. They really like to prioritize mid here, just get a lot of mid control and just go wherever they want from there. It felt like Luminosity didn't really know where the hit was coming, so they just got overwhelmed whenever Xset decided to execute. After that 5th round, Luminosity though, they wake up a little bit. Instead of just trying to hold mid, they kind of give it over to Xset and opt to play a little bit more aggressive towards the extremities in Garage and towards A main to give themselves a little bit more control. This gave them a lot more information and a lot more map control, so they could be a little bit more ready for when that hit was coming from Xset, and they use that so well. They get every single round after that until the very last round of the first half where Xset win that one out. So it will be 7-5 with Luminosity up at the end of the first half. Into the second half, and this is the third time this entire series that we've seen LG, they win out on the pistol round, but then Xset, even though they have the lesser guns, even though they're on pistols, they win out on that second round in a thrifty. After that, Xset really just run away with it. Their holds are great, their retakes are great as well. Wherever this ages, it really feels like LG just could not push through, just with the sheer amount of gunpowder in addition to all the slows and the walls that can be thrown at the enemy team. Huge multi-kills came out of the Xset members as well, so it felt like they were always in a man advantage. Xset, they end up winning that map 13-10, win out over Luminosity 2-1 in this series, and they go on an upper bracket in order to play up against 100 Thieves, which is our next matchup. Luminosity end up dropping to lower bracket round 1, and they will play up against Gen.G Esports. For our third best of 3 of the day, we have 100 Thieves versus Xset to see who will advance to winners finals. For map picks and bans, Xset banned Icebox first since that is one of 100 Thieves' best picks, and 100 Thieves ended up going with the bind ban that they do pretty much every single time. For map picks, Xset will pick Split, 100 Thieves will pick Breeze, and then Xset picks Ascent. For map 1 of Split, we see the exact same comp from both 100 Thieves and Xset. 100 Thieves running that double duelist, double controller Sky, and Xset running that double controller Sage, Sky, and Raze. In the first half of Split, we do see 100 Thieves on the defense, and they do take the pistol round, but we see yet again Xset, they force up and they take the second round. They have been winning second rounds so much today. Overall, the rounds were back and forth. Xset, they like to use the lurk Viper wall towards A, and 100 Thieves kind of respond by fighting for control there, making sure that that lurk can't come through. The only thing is Xset can then lurk up through mid and can execute on either side depending on where they want to go. 100 Thieves though, I mean, they use aggression well to find info, so they can kind of know where the site hit is going to be coming from. This all ends up with Xset being up 7-5 at halftime, which is a great position to be in, especially since they were on the attacking side of Split. In the second half, Xset set themselves up well by playing mid extremely well. They use Raze plus Sage utility in order to stall mid for so long that 100 Thieves can't get much mid pressure, and that makes site takes way harder at the extremities for 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves, they do adapt to this by avoiding mid a little bit more and playing just full aggression towards the extremities, which works for them for a while, but Xset still ends up closing that map out 13-9. Moving on to Breeze, which is a map 100 Thieves love to play on now. They run the exact same composition with that double initiator, double duelist comp. Xset, on the other hand, go for a double initiator and a killjoy. 100 Thieves were completely dominant in this first half of this map. They play the attack side well. They use sheer aggression to just overwhelm sites with very complicated but good site takes to overwhelm the sites with utility. And then because Xset was caught off guard, they're usually late to the retake, which gives them very little time in order to traverse those really long spaces on Breeze and actually defuse the spike. With that, 100 Thieves go up 10-2 at halftime. In that second half, 100 Thieves, they keep up on their aggression, even on the defense, trying to find space for themselves. Xset play a little bit more defaulty with Def mainly to lurk, and while Xset do get rounds for themselves, 100 Thieves with that first half giving them such round differential, they win out the map 13-8. And finally, with the last map of this best of 3 being Ascent, with winners going into winners final, we have 100 Thieves comp being that double initiator, double duelist comp. They run no sentinel on Ascent. This is actually a variation of the triple initiator comps they used to run on this map with Steel. And for Xset, they go with something a little bit more standard with a double initiator and a KJ. In the first half, with 100 Thieves starting on defense, they play very much for info. The double initiator util gets info, and then duelist will push out either in mid or towards some of the extremities just to get info on where this hit is coming. This allows 100 Thieves to either stack a site or be really quick to rotate to a site that they know that the hit is coming to. On the flip side, Xset will usually just default for a while and then group up later into the round to just execute, usually on one of the extremities. There's a lot of rounds traded back and forth, but at halftime, the score still remains at that 6-6 half, completely even. In the next half, 100 Thieves are on the attacking side, and their comp definitely favors this side. They also play well to it, using aggression really well in order to force map pressure and space for themselves. Xset, on the other hand, they mostly look to just hold the sites to themselves, not pushing out a whole lot, and usually they end up getting picked off and kind of giving the opening to 100 Thieves. Because of this, 100 Thieves win out on Ascent 13-9, and that means they win out in the series over Xset. They go up to upper bracket finals, while Xset, they go down to lower bracket round 2. And with that, that is everything you need to know that happened in NA LCQ Day 1. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. It helps me so much, and this video took quite a while to make. Unfortunately, broadcast Day 2 got postponed. Not sure what's going to happen with Riot so far, but if they do have more days where we can watch some games, I'll be sure to get the recaps out to you guys. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next one.